Oh, here we go. Good morning and welcome to the July 14th, 2021 City Council meeting. We will start off with Councilman Westbrook introducing Mr. Katz, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand with me.
Mr. Mayor, council guest, I'm honored to have my dear friend and community servant and spiritual leader of the largest and oldest Jewish congregation in East Texas give our invocation today, Rabbi Neil Katz.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'll offer a blessing as we open up our meeting this morning. God of our ancestors, we pray that you will guide this council as they humbly embark upon the task of leading our community. May they work with one another and all citizens of Tyler together as sacred partners to fulfill the vision and mission of city governance. God, may they never be led astray, knowingly or inadvertently, and may their hands and hearts be ever faithful in serving you. I'll adapt the words of the writer of Psalm 25 as a blessing to this council, first in Hebrew and then in English. Drachecha Adonai Hodeichem, Orotecha Lamdechem, from Psalm 25. Let them know your paths, O Lord, and teach them your ways. Hadrachechem ba'amitecha v'lamdechem. May you guide them in your true way and teach them. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with approving the minutes from the May 26, 2021 City Council meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by Curtis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. H1. Good morning, Renessa.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager. I'm before you today to talk about Community Development Home Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program. This program has been in existence for several years with the City of Tyler. It brings a lot of benefit to many citizens in this area. Specifically, it usually services low to moderate income individuals. The home grant does require that we do a 5-year consolidated plan, which was completed last year. And during the consolidated plan, we have to identify our priorities and what we're going to spend the money on. We've identified these areas, which are non-housing community development, which is infrastructure, sidewalks, underground infrastructure, decent and affordable housing, reducing substandard structures, and addressing homelessness. We have decided to start our 5-year plan as in accordance with HUD, and we had to have 2 public hearings. One was held on March 24th, 2021. There were no public comments. The next was held on May 10th, 2021. There were no public comments. We were required to have a comment open period from 30 days. That was held from June 6th through July 6th. Again, we didn't receive any comments during that time period. However, I am denoting that we received comments outside of the comment period between March 1st and April 14th, wherein citizens in those areas did ask us to do further infrastructure improvements, specifically sidewalks. And we also got an inquiry about how we're going to use our CARES funding, as there was a proposal made on how they could assist us with it. All of those items have been considered as a part of the annual plan that's going to be presented to HUD this year. We did receive $885,569 for CDBG funding, and we received $362,360 for home funding. The chart that you see before you outlines how the money will be allocated. We are able to pay for staffing from this particular grant, so $177,000 from CDBG will be paid for administration, with $36,000 from home contributing to that. We have money that is left over from previous years for substandard structures, so we've reduced the allocation for substandard structures to $50,000. We do anticipate that that would allow us to be able to demolish about 10 houses if we didn't have any other funding, but we do have further funding that we'll be rolling forward. Our critical home repair that we funded last year, we still have money remaining from that, so we did not, thank you, Candace. So we did not We did not allocate any money to that for this year, as we'll still be spending off remaining money from previous years. Our targeted home rehabilitation, the same is true with that. The public facilities, as you can see, we have increased that to $526,000. We're anticipating doing a park, I believe specifically Nobley Young Park, that's located in the low to moderate income area, where we'll be adding in sidewalks and new recreation and exercise equipment for those people, since they're normally not able to join a gym or things like that. We want to provide an ability to promote health and wellness, which is directly in keeping with the overall goals of HUD. We also are looking at having to do the $284,000 is for new construction under home, and that's going to be for the completion of the Hidden Palace. And I don't know if you've went by there lately, but we actually have pads out there, so we're kind of excited.
Yeah,
We've been on a little bit of a delay, just as a side note, because of the pandemic and the cost associated with lumber and things like that. But as lumber is coming down, we're looking at being able to move forward with getting the homes actually produced. So at this time, as a part of the annual plan process that we have to go through, we are needing to hold a public hearing. This is actually an extra public hearing to give the public another opportunity to comment on this particular plan or program, as no one was available or showed up for our other public hearings. And with that, I'll ask the mayor to open up the public hearing.
Okay. At this time, we're going to open up a public hearing for this item. Is there anyone that wishes to come up and speak on this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Anyone have any other questions for Renessa? Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. I will note that I'll be back at the very next council meeting for final approval. So,
Okay.
see you.
Thank you. Morning, Peter.
Good morning. Mayor, Council, you have item R1 before you. His request, the City Council consider ratifying and authorizing the filing of an application for acceptance of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, including authorizing the city manager to take all action necessary to accept and use funding in connection with the application, and provide additional information as required. So just to give you all a little bit of history, federal government, I guess about a year ago, we got CARES funding of about $6 million, and this is the second round of funding. And basically this funding is to support immediate pandemic response, to bring jobs back, to lay the groundwork for strong and equitable recovery. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 establishes that the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds are designed to deliver about $350 billion to state and local and territorial and tribal governments to boost the response to the COVID-19 emergency and its economic impacts. So the time period for these funds will be from funds that we're spending from March 3rd, 2021 through December 31st, 2024. And just some of the ways that would qualify for these funds involves support for public health response, replacing public sector revenue loss. It could be used for water, sewer infrastructure, and then addressing negative impacts to our economy and broadband infrastructure and pay for essential workers. So our share of the $350 billion is $20.2 million. And the reason we're asking you all to ratify this today is, of course, we've already applied for the funds, and we have already received half of the funds. Now, I'll put a disclaimer in there. We still have to qualify for the funds that we have received. So we have received a little over $10 million. But we're going through that process currently to figure out how we're going to qualify for the funds. And we'll be communicating that with you all. So basically, this is a housekeeping issue. We have applied for it. We just want to get a resolution in place basically ratifying the action that the city manager took. So our recommendation is that city council consider ratifying and authorizing the filing of application for acceptance of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, including authorizing the city manager to take all action necessary to accept and use the grant funding in connection with the application and to provide additional information as may be required. If I have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions for Keeter?
I do. Just where are the funds? Where will they be kept? And will they go into the general fund? Keith,
Well,
where-
that's a good question. It depends on how we're gonna qualify for the dollars. For instance, if we're able to use some of our public safety expenditures to reimburse some of those in relation to the coronavirus, those funds would go into the general fund. So we would match the revenues to whichever fund we have the expenses in.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd just like to make the comment that this $20.2 million is not just going to go, from my perspective, it's not just going to go into the general fund and just be spent. To me, it's going to go towards projects that really benefit the community, the city. And I think back in the days of FDR and when money was spent for the recovery efforts, it was spent on items that benefited the community. And so, you know, personally, I would like to see, and we've all got to figure out how we're going to spend the money.
Yes, sir.
And that's a good problem to have, but I'd hope it would go to something that benefits many.
Yes.
So, any other questions for Keeter?
I do. So will any of these fundings be able to go to individuals that have problems with their homes, such as pipe freezing, that did not have insurance to repair those homes?
I think that's a decision that we would all have to make as a group. I would have to do some research on that. I can do some research and get back with you on that.
Any other questions for Keeter? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion by McKellar, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thanks, Keeter.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Cameron Williams, traffic engineer, I'm here on behalf of really Stephanie Franklin and the Parks for this resolution. The request the City Council consider adopting a resolution to authorize the city manager to execute an advanced funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the construction of Phase 2 of Legacy Trail. You're probably all very familiar with Legacy Trail, and this was a grant application that the city submitted back in 2019, and we were put on a list and we were finally awarded to move forward with this construction. And so this portion of Legacy Trail actually goes from Winters Park, so this is on Frankston Highway, just south of Earl Campbell, and then it will go up to Pete Elementary. So those are the limits of the trail, and the grant opportunity gives you 80% funded construction-wise from the federal government, 20% match from the city. And so this is a very exciting project to look forward to add to the Legacy Trail and those opportunities for people to get out, hike, and ride the bikes.
How close is Pete from the Rose Garden? You know?
So Pete Elementary is just kind of on the south side of Bellwood and Houston. And then Houston, of course, goes over to the Rose Garden. So there's a little bit, the limits truncate right there because of the railroad track. So that coordination of getting across the railroad track is something in the future we'll have to work on. But the ultimate plan is to connect to that Rose Garden complex.
And how much was the grant?
The construction cost is around $3.1 million. And so that's what the grant construction piece, and then 80% of that.
And just as a point of clarification for, as Cameron was discussing, the interesting piece on this one is actually on Stewart Park. So the city has on 155 a piece of property that was donated to it for the construction of Stewart Park at some point in the future. This actually is one of the main pieces that's getting this started. You'll create a trailhead there, parking lot, picnic tables, probably the gazebos, those type of things that you see along Legacy Trail that's built on Old Jacksonville Highway there at the Stewart Park trailhead. So that actually is one of the first starts of getting the Stewart Park up and running at that location. And that then ties into the trail through here as you see it.
So does that mean we make improvements to Stewart Park?
Considering there's no improvements at Stewart Park now, yes.
Yes, it will be, yes.
Good.
And we're gonna utilize the rock wall. I think it's an old structure and it has a rock wall on it, so, and that part will be utilized to kind of preserve the history of that particular house, that home that's still sitting there.
All right, any other questions for Cameron?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by McGee, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Cameron.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Kyle.
This is a request to accept a grant on behalf of the City of Tyler from the Texas Historical Commission. The City of Tyler has been awarded a grant from the Texas Historical Commission in the amount of $13,600 to fund the nomination of a downtown National Historic District. The creation of a downtown National Historic District is listed in the Tyler First Comprehensive Plan, Tyler's Historic Preservation Strategic Plan, and the Downtown Tyler Strategic Plan. HMN Inc. has been selected to prepare the nomination for the district. With this nomination, it will increase the availability of investment opportunities for underutilized properties within the heart of our city. As you can see here on the screen, we do have the proposed district boundary. This was prepared by the consultant in collaboration with the Historic Commission to identify which areas are contributing to a district. And so you see a lot of the blue-green dots are properties that are contributing to a national district. You can see we have City Hall on there as well. Contributing properties will have the opportunity to apply for state and federal credits or tax credits to connect the financial gaps needed for developers to move forward with projects within this area. The awarded grant will pay 50% of all eligible expenses related to the district nomination, and the estimated completion date for this project is May 2022. And so it is recommended that the City Council adopt an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a Texas Historical Commission grant in the amount of $13,600 for the purpose of funding the Downtown National Historic District nomination and authorizing the city's local match in the amount of $13,600.
Any questions for Kyle?
So Kyle, this would be basically a district within the DBAC,
That's
correct?
Yes. And so the DBAC is the larger area for the downtown. It's related to zoning and land use. And this would be a smaller portion of it that's actually designated as a historic district.
So designating it as this historic district wouldn't impact the processes on zoning or
No, sir.
replatting? Okay.
They'd be separate.
I entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Curtis, second by Wynn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. M1.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning. Good morning, Michael.
Michael.
We have a few consultants who are attending today from Tool Design, and we have them online right now. I'd like to do just a brief introduction. In June of 2020, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, entered into a contract with Tool Design to conduct a transit route study. The study was coordinated through the MPO, but it was done in partnership with members of Tyler Transit. The purpose of the study was to enhance bus service in the region and to optimize return on investment to provide that service. This was accomplished through a review of the existing bus routes, stops, and transfer points combined with a robust stakeholder and public engagement campaign to understand the needs of the citizens of Tyler and the greater Tyler area. The program was funded with federal transportation dollars that was done through the MPO grant, so there were no local funds spent to get this study that we're getting ready to present. The project manager is Andrea Ostraka, who's with Tool Design, and again, we have her through Teams at the moment, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the presentation over to her and allow her to introduce herself and any of her team that are present. Andrea, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Mayor and members of City Council. I am Andrea Ostradka. I'm the project manager. I'm here with my colleague Jared Draper. We are delighted to be presenting the results of our study to you today. This is a snapshot of the members of our team. Not pictured here, but an important member of our team on your side was James Torres, who we worked with closely on the study. This study was a little bit unusual in that it started during just after the beginning of COVID, and so we had to adapt to a new way of doing business for a bit, but that didn't really slow us down. The primary objectives of the study were to look at the efficiency and effectiveness of service, identify any needed route changes to better serve the community, and better connect people in Tyler to employment, education, and healthcare. This is the system as it is presented today. Ridership on average between 2016 and 2019 is about 147,000 trips per year. We use 2019 as our base year in this study because we considered 2020 to be somewhat of an anomaly with COVID. You can see along Broadway, the red and the purple routes consistently have the highest ridership. That's the busiest corridor in the city. Those routes have headways or frequencies of 30 to 40 minutes, but the other routes run about every 1.5 hours. On-time performance is quite good at over 80%. This from a national perspective, when you look at other systems and you consider that buses run in the same vehicular traffic as all cars do, this is generally considered to be quite good. During the course of our study, we held 4 virtual open houses. We held them in September and November of last fall. We held them on different days of the week, one over the weekend, some during the day, some in the evening, to try to catch as many people as we could. What we heard during the open houses was that there is certainly a desire for more service, more frequent service that starts earlier in the day and goes later in the evening to catch shift workers. We also heard that there's a need for stops in new locations that serve destinations that are needed, like the Social Security office, for example. And then we also heard that some people have trouble reading the maps and really feeling comfortable using the system. So these are things that we all considered as we moved forward with our study. We also conducted a survey of riders and households. We received 172 responses. The great news was that transit riders in Tyler were overall quite satisfied with the service, which speaks quite well to the service that you are providing today. When people aren't riding transit, we wanted to know why, and generally it related to driving a car being more convenient or service not being near their home. So these are things that we consider because not everyone has a car, not every household has as many cars as there are working adults. So these are important considerations as we look to the future. We also asked folks to tell us if they had to choose, would they prefer longer service hours or more frequent bus service, and whether they would prefer better weekday service or more weekend service. Generally, people told us that if they had to choose, they would choose more frequent service and better weekday service. So this is how we started to prioritize improvements. In addition to the survey and the outreach to the public, we also met with drivers. The bus drivers we find to be really informative. They understand what the conditions are like on the road. They understand what their customers are saying and what they're frustrated with, what they like. So we did hold 2 meetings with them in December to get that frontline perspective, and they gave us a lot of input on our preliminary recommendations. In addition to that, we rode the routes. We looked at how operations were going. We noticed some things like some of the routes meander a little bit. Some of them are loops. So if you, we sort of joke about this a little bit, but we use something called the ice cream test. If you go to the grocery store, you get your groceries, and one of your groceries is some ice cream. Can you get home in time to get it in the freezer to prevent it from melting? And there are a few routes that's really difficult to do, especially in the hot summertime sun. So we wanted to think of recommendations that would provide more efficient service for folks. Also good is the very consistent ridership. Once people find out what a great resource it is, they're using it every day. But they did report some frustration with those long headways, so having to wait an hour and a half between services, between buses. This brings us to our recommendations. I'm going to turn it over to Jared to go through these.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mayor and members of council. So one of the things that we obviously wanted to start with were some guiding principles. Andrea already talked about these just a little bit, but really thinking about the system as it is today and how we can simplify the system, really focusing in on those key destinations. We know that the routes are already where they run today are connecting some people to some of their places, but how could we still serve those destinations with a simpler kind of map and as well as just overall routes? And then we wanted to really leverage the existing fleet. I think that one of the things that we know is that when it comes to resources for transit, adding new vehicles and more drivers is something that needs to be done over time and considered. And so how did we start with what we have today with any kind of changes that would be recommended? So what we wanted to do based upon those principles are refine some of the route alignments, thinking about some of that meandering. We really wanted to focus in on what we heard from people around reducing those headways and really creating more reliable, more frequent service. And then we ended up, after kind of looking through some of the analysis, looking at an opportunity to add a southern transfer station to the 2 that already exist, which really does allow people to connect to other parts of the city in a little bit more convenient way. So we showed the map of the existing today on the previous slide, but this is part of the recommendations, kind of a clean, more refined map, making it a little bit more easy to read from a visual standpoint. So you can see what is on the screen now is what we'd be proposing. Really, the other thing that we wanted to think about are other partnerships that are available, and then educating riders on how to use the system. And we think that some of the visuals as part of the maps will really help that as well. I'm going to walk through each one of the routes. Again, we wanted to leverage the existing fleet of buses that are already with the Tyler Transit System. So the first route that we're proposing, Route A, is along Broadway. It connects to all 3 of the proposed transfer stations, which really what it does is allows people to move between any of the routes very easily. We know that this is already one of the lines that is seeing the highest ridership, and so having those 3 transfer stations can be really valuable for improvements in the future of this route. Route B is along in the northern part of the city. This is a part of the current system that is seeing a really high ridership that maybe depending upon transit to get to school, some other trips for work. And so what we wanted to do was make it a little bit more streamlined. We connected it to the Human Services Department, Social Security offices. And then also having it connect to the transfer station at the transit depot allows the connection to a variety of other routes. One of the things I really like about this route specifically is that the streamlining of the actual alignment makes it one of the most frequent routes on the system, and so that those that are in this part of the city are able to get to Broadway to connect to others without waiting for a bus for too long. Route C is really a connection around downtown, and this one really connects kind of the east and west sides of downtown Tyler. This is one of the routes that we had previously kind of looked at for the alignment, and then based upon some of the driver feedback, we made some modifications, thinking about where it's appropriate to turn left and really to streamline some of the overall route alignment by making the rights as easy as possible. It is kind of connecting through the medical center and also connects to all three of the transfer stations. And so this is going to be an opportunity for folks to kind of really connect in from those other areas, other routes that already, maybe are closer to their destination or their home, and then get to places of employment. And I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of connect on the east side of Broadway to the medical center, as well as, Trop Highway. Route E, we're showing it right here as two different routes, but because we want to leverage the existing system initially, we propose that this would be a single route connecting to the Bergfield Center. And in the future, when we think about phasing, to break that out into an east and west route when there's an opportunity with funding or adding another vehicle to really streamline the service on both the east and the west side, connecting a lot of the university connections with UT Tyler, with TJC, and their west campus. And then finally, the Route F serves Southern Tyler. We know there's a lot of development that's happening here, so all obviously connecting into the new South Transfer site, which really doesn't have an exact location yet, but it kind of is in the works as an opportunity as the routes that are defined. Connecting in the south to the Cumberland Mall, as well as to the route along Broadway, is a great opportunity. And we know that the development that's happening in this area will see even potentially more ridership in the future. So moving forward, we talk about this study not only identifying recommendations for now and kind of the immediate term, but also the future. So we wanted to make sure that there are the simpler, more direct routes, that the frequency of service, Andrea mentioned that all of the other routes were running outside of the kind of 2, we're at about an hour and a half. All of the routes that we're proposing, even at the initial phase, are at the kind of hour and below. And there are opportunities in the future to make that even more frequent. And then ultimately making sure that there's access to all of the destinations that people were already going to and those that may be developed into the future. And it's a little bit easier to read with a clearer map. We did mention phasing. As part of this study, we did identify some phasing opportunities of kind of how to start with what you have, and then over the course of time, adding in new buses, adding other resources, new transfer stations, to make things a little bit simpler, as well as to provide more reliable and frequent service to riders.
This concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea and Jared. So just wanted to circle back around and say once again that this project was conducted through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, so it already has been reviewed and approved by the MPO's Transportation Policy Committee, which was done on June 17th. And we're bringing it here today just to get final adoption from City Council. And I'm here on behalf of the MPO. We have our consultants. We also have representatives from Tyler Transit. If there are any questions for any of the staff members about any of the process or implementation, and it's recommended that the City Council adopt the 2021 Transit Route Study.
Michael, let me ask, when y'all did the study, did y'all do any kind of review on the app and how people are satisfied with the app that works with the transit system?
Not aware of anything specifically on the app. James, do you know if that was part of the process at all?
Mayor, Councilman, yes, we did go through the app and have some feedback through that. We recently got a Facebook page also up and running that we're also getting back comments through that as well. And we hope once we get final approval with this, we can also put that to the app as well, once we get that up and running and get it going.
So are people satisfied with the app?
So far, so good, knock on wood. So, we've had a few people say, you know, can we do this, can we do that? And that's a more direct line where we can answer directly to them and get specifics, answers, and questions on that.
So I guess these revised routes will be made a part of the new app, or the
Yes.
app?
Yes.
Okay.
As well as add it to the website and have all of that out there for everybody to look at and examine. We will also have to, required by the FTA, we have to have at least 2 months worth of public notifications, public meetings, to let them know that these changes are coming through. And we hope to have everything situated and let the public know and the new maps out prior to the FY 2022 fiscal year.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what's the target time that you have for full implementation of the plan as presented?
October 1. If everything goes good.
That's exciting. It really is. Mayor, I just want to commend the staff and the team, everybody that worked on this project. I mean, before it looked like spaghetti when you're looking at it, and now you get a clear snapshot about where you can go on the different routes. And the
Yes.
transfer stations really make a difference. Absolutely amazing.
Michael, I have a question. I don't know if this is one for you or Jared or Andrea, but the location for the new transfer station down south, since that has not been determined yet, was there a study done to see exactly which location would be better, whether it could be Cumberland Mall, Faulkner Park? I know there's an indication on the map that it was around Reek Road, but was there any kind of study done of best possible location for that?
Yes, we actually were utilizing the location at the Social Security office. We were doing that prior to this route study, back in, when we did the holiday show, because, you know, traffic during the holidays, it gets pretty bottlenecked down there. So we have one bus that'll come from Cumberland to the Social Security office to meet red and purple. That's what we did in the past. We called it the holiday show. So we kind of talked to Two Design about it, and they felt that that's the more natural third station that we're looking at. So it'll be right there at the Social Security office. And the ridership and the clients already know about that third location already because of the holiday show, so it kind of just flows right in with what we're going towards.
Thank you. Mayor, move to approve M1.
Second.
Got a motion by Westbrook, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? I would like to say that, real quick, I've taken the transit from the depot down to Cumberland and back. And it's if you haven't done it, it's kind of a fun thing to do because you can look and see what's going on and not be distracted by your own driving. So if you haven't done the transit, it's really kind of fun.
I just want to add one quick thing. We have free Wi-Fi on the buses now, so.
All right.
All right. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. M2.
Good morning.
Good
Mayor,
morning.
City Council, City Manager.
Morning.
Today I'm here to talk about M2. I'm Assistant Chief Joey Hooten with the Fire Department. I'm here to request that City Council consider authorizing the City Manager to execute a contract with Garrett and Associates for the construction of the renovation of Fire Department Headquarters project in the amount of $1,221,000. To give you a reference, the City Council approved the purchase of the Fire Department Headquarters building on October 28th, 2020. There were 4 proposals sent in. After the selection committee reviewed all the bids received, Garrett and Associates was selected. The contract amount is $1,221,000, which includes the base bid and alternate 2, which is a backup generator. So basically, the recommendation, it is recommended that the City Council consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Garrett and Associates for the construction of the renovation of Fire Department Headquarters project in the amount of $1,221,000.
Any questions? Can you just explain what the General Capital Projects Fund is?
Sir?
Where the funding's coming from?
Either I or Kedrick probably can handle that one a bit better. So for you have a capital improvement program that's funded with your half-cent program, but you also have what's called the General Capital Improvement Programs that the mayor's noting, that is from your general fund. So for a lot of your roof replacements, different, as far as remodels of different buildings and the like, we probably usually use this fund. We've actually built it up quite a bit over the years. Kedrick earlier made mention of the $6 to $1 million that we received in CARES Act funds that we were able to reimburse ourselves and put in what we call the rainy day fund that was used to purchase the new fire admin building. And this also fund is partially paying towards the renovations with the General Capital Improvement Program. Anything you want to add to that, Keisha? Okay. So.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
Move to approve it too.
Got a motion by Wynn, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Joey.
Good job.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
This is a request that the City Council consider accepting the annual review of City of Tyler abatements. I do want to point out that our TDC team is here on the second row, and particularly Felicia Hernan that does all the heavy lifting and putting this annual review together. The committee found, or I should say the City of Tyler Reinvestment Zone Committee found that 249 new and full-time jobs have been created, 677 jobs have been retained, and over $50 million has been invested in new plant and equipment in Tyler. To go over our abatements, Estes McClure, which this is the final year of their tax abatement, they were in at 100%. They exceeded their investment of job goals at $5.2 million, and with 35 new jobs, with total employment at 104. So it is recommended to give the 100% tax abatement for Estes McClure. The following did have challenges. The rest of our companies, Fresenius was supposed to have, let's see, 200. They reported 267 jobs at the end of 2019. And the company was non-compliant with and the recommendation is for the 77% abatement. At the time, the company reported losing a billing unit at the Tyler location as a contributing factor for not meeting its job goals. Highland Dairy, the project was delayed from the beginning due to unexpected engineering, site work, and finalizing land purchases with owners of property that surround the site. The company is now reporting that it's now back on track and moving forward with completing their expansion. So the recommendation is at 86%. Homeland Title, they had project delays that's slightly delayed their construction, and they are recommended at 95%. So they were reporting 38 jobs, and they were supposed to provide 5 new jobs at a total of 40. Train was required to add 10 additional jobs by the end of 2020 for a total of 469 office employees. And at the end of 2020, they reported 450. And this was due to COVID-related attrition for not meeting their job goals. So the recommendation there is at 96%. And with that, we are recommending that the council accept the annual review of the City of Tyler tax abatements.
Any questions for Heather? I'll just say, Scott, to you and your team for what you do for the Tyler Economic Development Council. And I mean, you guys do a bang-up job and appreciate what you do and just want to commend you for that.
Oh, we appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve M3.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Heather.
Morning, Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager. I'm Jacob Walker, Interim City Engineer with Engineer Engineering. Coming before you today to consider a change order for the 2021 Asphalt Enhancement Program. This change order is in relation to Reed Road and Lake Tyler Roads. So background on the project, in May of this year, Council approved a $3.375 million contract to Reynolds and Kay for the asphalt enhancement project. Reed Road was scheduled for a seal coat, and after further analysis, it really led to an increase in treatment, and so that's what we're here today to discuss with you. Also, Tyler Water Utilities requested segments of Lake Tyler roads be included in the project as part of their maintenance funds because they were unable to get a separate bid project in time to expend those maintenance dollars. A little background on Reed Road. So as we look closer on the map on your PowerPoint, it's used as a cut-through street from 110, Troop Highway. It leads over to UT Tyler and Old Oman Road, Shiloh Road. It's used frequently for folks trying to head south, also out of the neighborhoods to the east that want to utilize Reed as a cut-through. So traffic did vehicle counts on there. The vehicle counts came back at over 2,000 vehicles a day, which is a lot higher than a traditional local road. It's more on the line of a collector level street, which is similar to Roy Road in its counts. And so it really proved as a higher usage than anticipated. Also, the condition of the road is poor. You can see there in the pictures, there's two items. It's the width and then the pavement condition. The width has no shoulders. It's 19 foot to 20 foot wide. For the length here, and then the pavement in general is deteriorating, especially on the edges, and then the photo there on your slideshow shows that. So what this change order would do would add about a little under half a mile of widening, 2.5 foot of widening on either side of the road, get this road up to 24 to 25 foot width. Also, it would not just seal coat, it would pulverize and cement stabilize the existing asphalt and go over this whole new wider road with an overlay of asphalt course. So it's a total length of 2,400 feet and about half a mile. The second part of this change order is for Lake Tyler, and that consists of 3 different types of treatment. So they have about 341 feet of reconstruction that needs to take place on Northwest Road, which you can see on the top of the map there. It's got some really bad pine roots under the pavement. It's causing some buckling and really needs to be rebuilt in that small segment. Also, East Side Road in the orange is about a little over 4 miles worth of seal coat that needs to take place as part of this program. And then there's 2 locations of spot repair for storm sewer. It's 110 feet total, 30-inch and 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe. So we've proposed to include these items of work into the Reynolds and Kay contract. Funding for these is Reed Road is from the half-cent sales tax fund that was presented yesterday and approved at half-cent in the amount of $200,493.33. And then the Lake Tyler roads is from the Tyler Water Utilities Fund at the cost of $249,434.64. So we bring for you today a total change order for the asphalt enhancement program of $449,927.97.
Any questions or comments for Jacob?
I do. Jacob,
Yes, sir.
and it may be, you may defer to the city manager, but aren't the Lake Tyler roads actually county roads?
Not the, would you go back just one to the map? Not the roads that are actually on the city property. And so those are the ones that you see, I mean, many of the roads there are on the city property, but that is, the city maintains the ones that are on our property.
Great, okay, thank you.
I know where you're going with that, because we've had other conversations of, are these roads actually in the county or are they in the city?
Yes, sir.
So I know where you're going with it, so appreciate that.
I would say the Reed Road repair is well needed, and I think the Metter Road or Metter Cemetery Road that turns up to is going to be falling right along behind because it's in similar condition.
You're right, it is.
Any other comments? I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
That's quick. Motion by Curtis, second by Westbrook. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Jacob.
That was a quick recovery, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Renessa.
I'm back. I know you're excited. Good morning again, Mayor and Council, Mr. Manager. My name is Vanessa Lake, Managing Director here at City of Tyler. I'm before you today to talk about a sidewalk extension project. As you may recall, the students at TJ Austin petitioned the then former Councilmember Ed Moore and former Mayor Martin Hines about adding sidewalks in order to promote the safe travel back and forth to school, to that particular school. The project consisted of adding sidewalks on the east side of Moore Street and on the west side of Palace Street, going from Queen to Franklin. As we began that project, we discovered that there was property right near Franklin and Harmony, between those two intersections, that we did not have proper easements to finish out the project on. We had tried to contact the property owners with no response. If you may recall, we went through an eminent domain proceedings to get the easement. Those easements finally came through, and now we're able to go out and finish that one little section of the project. Additionally, as we promoted this project and as we're putting in the new subdivision Hidden Palace, it was denoted that we needed to extend the sidewalk from Queen onto Gentry Parkway, which is what this actual project is going to do. So we'll finish out that project at Harmony, as well as extending it from Queen to Gentry Parkway. This project went out to bid, and we received 3 bids. The low bidder was C.E. Marler Associates, and staff is recommending the awarding of that bid to that particular contractor. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Renessa?
I want to commend you for that, and I'm glad you came back.
Thank you.
To present that.
And this is all being paid for with federal money.
Yes, that is correct.
Move to approve.
All right.
10-5.
Motion by McKellar, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council.
Where's Sarah?
This is a request to execute a contract for the repair of 43 utility cuts located in various brick streets throughout the city. We received 4 bids on this project, with the lowest bid coming from Crown Civil Construction in the amount of $99,994. With that, staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for this work with Crown Civil Construction.
Any questions for Sarah?
Move to approve M6. Second.
Motion by Wynn, second by McGee. Thank you for getting this done. It's needed, and appreciate it. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, and I hate to say it afterwards, but yes, thank you for saying that, Mayor, because this is one of the first steps that we're really taking on Brick Street renovation program. And so we're very happy with the price on that one that it came in at, and are looking forward to seeing how that's going to start improving as we really start to move forward on our Brick Street renovations.
Thank you. Paul?
Morning.
Mayor,
this morning to start with item M7, lift station repair and coating. We've got 4 lift stations. We've got most of our lift station work done that the consent decree requires, and we've got a little bit left. It's the specialty work, so we're going to be coating these lift stations and doing some repairs, some structural repair. And while we're at it, there are a couple of manholes that have been identified that need to be coated as well. So we are throwing that in with this package. This is a buy-board contract that I wish to use to get this work done. I solicited some proposals from 3 different companies, Vortex Services, Ace Pipe Cleaning, and IPR South Central to do this work. And Vortex Services has the best set of numbers, and we've worked with them in the past, and they've done a good job coating manholes. So they're going to do a good job, I feel, coating these lift stations. So my recommendation this morning is simply that we authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Vortex Services in the amount of $97,731.79.
Any questions for Paul?
Just want to make a comment, and I've got a brief question. So this is specialty work.
Yes, sir.
In relining these lines. And then Vortex now, with the recent work that they've done for the city, has done an acceptable job.
I think they've done an acceptable job. They've had a snag or 2 with some access issues, but we've got those remaining.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, I move to approve M7.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by Curtis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. M8.
Right. This is item M8 for emergency repair reimbursement for a 30-inch line and some additional ancillary work just south of Lake Park. So we had a sinkhole that developed adjacent to 110 in this 30-inch line. So the need was to repair that line. While we were there setting up bypass pumping to do this work, install a new manhole at that location because it was immediately adjacent to the manhole. We decided to go ahead and line the line under the highway, which was called out for CIPP work. So it was already identified as needing to be rehabbed. So it's just we were in the process of bypass pumping, we went ahead and scheduled that work. While we were at it, the manhole on the north side of the road needed some attention, so we went ahead and did that. There were some the lines tying into those 2 manholes needed some attention, so we just did a lot of work while we were there addressing this emergency work. So that's the list of the scope of work that was completed. We also have an access road that is some recycled asphalt that was put to the upstream manhole so that we can access it now, and we needed to access it to place the bypass pump. So you can see here just a couple of pictures of what the line looked like before going into the highway. I don't have a picture showing the partial collapse that caused the sinkhole, but you can see the nice smooth fiberglass line product now. And then you can see the manhole that was lined on the north side of the road. Incidentally, this is some newer technology, so it was not the most efficient application. It took it took longer than we wanted to get the work done. So just go ahead and point that out. But it is in a location that we can monitor it between 2 manholes adjacent to the road. Access is easy, so we can see what this looks like on down the road. But it is comparable to CIPP. Of course, they say it's better, but we'll see. So my recommendation this morning is to reimburse Reynolds and Kay the $200,946.69 for this completed emergency work.
Any questions for Paul?
I'm sorry, I didn't get, where was that location again?
It was just south of Lake Park,
Okay.
right off of 110, so to the west of Loop 323.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Just want to make a comment that to fix everything while you're already in the hole makes great sense, and I'm sure that it saves the taxpayers money. And so thank you for that culture. And with that, I move to approve M8.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Paul. Tiffany?
Good morning. I am Tiffany Curry, project engineer for Tyler Body. Okay, item M9 is the bid for the force main and air relief valve program, which is a part of the consent decree. As a part of our consent decree program, we are required to inspect all of the force mains and ARVs in our system annually. That is just over 94,000 linear feet of force main and 27 air release valves. This particular construction contract includes the replacement and installation of 12 air release valves and a couple of new ARV vaults. We received 2 responsive bids on June 29th, one from AAA Sanitation and one from Canary Construction. AAA Sanitation was the lowest responsive bidder with $287,855. My request is that the City Council consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract in the amount of $287,855 with AAA Sanitation for the force main and air relief valve program.
Any questions for Tiffany?
Move to approve M9.
Second.
Motion by McGee, second by Westbrook. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. M10.
M10 is for the Type D sewer creek crossing replacements. This contract includes the replacement of 4 D-rated creek crossings. You all probably remember that we have a creek crossing assessment program going on where our consultant is going out, assessing each one of our creek crossings and rating them on a scale of A through E, E being an emergency that needs to be addressed immediately. The D-rated creek crossings need to be addressed, not quite as urgent as the E-rated creek crossings. So there were 4 D-rated crossings identified for a total of 900 linear feet of pipe ranging in size from 8-inch to 24-inch that will be replaced and reinforced to improve those creek crossings. Whoops. We had 5 responsive bidders on this one for June 29th, with the low bidder being CNA Construction in the amount of $263,678.05. My request today is that the City Council consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract in the amount not to exceed $263,678.05 with CNA Construction for the Type D sewer creek crossing replacement.
Any questions for Tiffany?
Tiffany, is CNA on the approved contractor list? They met all of the financial requirements?
They have met all of the requirements. They submitted all of the documentation along with their bid.
Okay. Have they done work for us before?
They have worked for us as a sub on previous projects, not directly.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve M10.
Second.
Motion by McKellar, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. This item is the Blackport Creek outfall sewer line for cast-in-place pipe. This too is a part of the consent decree. It includes cleaning and installing just over 18,000 linear feet of CIPP liner along our 54-inch Black Fork Creek gravity sewer line, as well as manhole repairs, replacements, and quite a bit of access roads that will allow us to access this gravity sewer in the future. We received 2 qualified bidders, SAK Construction and In Situ Form Technologies, with the low bidder being SAK in the amount of $11,972,921. It's a big number, but it was actually below our estimate, so we got a good price. My request is that the City Council consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract in an amount not to exceed $11,972,921 with SAK Construction for the Black Fork Creek Outfall Sewer CIPP project.
Any questions for Tiffany?
Tiffany, what do they do in this process?
There's a liner that has structural integrity. They use water to expand this liner inside of the pipe, so the existing pipe stays in place. They don't have to open cut, or there's not trenches. It's a lot less invasive in that way. So they're essentially going inside of the pipe, fortifying it with a liner.
Yeah, there's a big difference in those 2 bids, $2.6 million.
It is significant. We spent quite a bit of time comparing to see what the difference was. The liner itself, the prices for the liner were almost spot on. The difference was in the access roads.
So when you have a big ticket item like this and you're working on the consent decree, is this something that was anticipated? I mean, you know it's coming, or
Sure.
Is this unforeseen, or?
No, this is a part of our overall $250 million program. So we always anticipated that we would have a project that was somewhere between, honestly, we thought it would be closer to $20 million. So, but it has been budgeted for.
So 11.9 sounds inexpensive.
Absolutely.
I've got a card here from Thomas Schultz.
Yes.
Just,
Mayor, I was just here to answer
M11.
any questions.
Okay.
That came up as a representative of the contract.
okay. Any questions for Tiffany or Mr. Schultz?
You made mention, Tiffany, that SAK has been qualified, they've submitted everything. Have they done business with the city before?
We have not worked with SAK to this point. They are very experienced, especially in this particular technology.
And I know that KSA, and I don't know
Yes.
if they may want to speak to it, they did reference checks and kind of.
Absolutely. If you'd like to speak with them, they're here just so they can chat with you a little bit about SAK's qualifications.
No, thank you. Move to approve M11.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thanks, Tiffany. All right, now we're down to the consent agenda. Anything need to be pulled, or we're good?
Got ahead of you.
Go ahead.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council. Just a few items of note. We did get our sales and use tax figures from the Texas Comptroller's website this week. And our numbers that were deposited for July, which reflect the month of May, were $4.36 million. This compares to revenues of an increase of about 2.34% over the previous year. But one of the things we went back and looked at is that back in 2020, we received quite an adjustment for unreported sales tax that had come in. And so when we discounted that piece, we saw that it was about a 20% increase in sales and use tax over the year before. And this is kind of in accordance with what we're seeing statewide, with that about 18.9% increase. And so that kind of gives you an idea on the economy of Tyler and where we are, especially in recovery coming out of the pandemic, and how well sales tax, which is not only reflective of retail that you see, but it also have other pieces in it that are oil and gas related, mining related, and others that come into that sales and use tax figures. I want to congratulate our airport just and say thank you to not only the airport, but also our police department and fire departments for their assistance as well for the air show that was conducted at Tyler Pounds Field on July 2nd. Our team worked very well with the air show operators, and we're just very proud of just, with this being the first year of it, and how well that they were able to look at all the different problems that would be coming along and try to get through those. And also, our annual 4th of July celebration we had at Lindsay Park was also an incredible success. We had about 5,000 people that attended the event. Fireworks show was beautiful. We were able to give bus rides for about 300 people using transit, and so our community truly did enjoy the opportunity to celebrate the 4th of July. And then finally, one of the things I want to make an announcement on is we have offered the job of the Tyler Water Utilities Director to our own Kate Deeds, and she did accept the position. And so we will have different information coming on that, but we're very excited about her moving into this new role and the potential she has for leading that department on into the future. We've also asked Doug Box, who's just disappeared on me, to stay on for at least another 3 weeks or so to assist with the transition. And so he is very excited about that and working with Kate.
Thank you, Ed. I did attend the air show, and it was a big success, and a lot of folks. And I do want to commend Bob for all you did. You were very instrumental. And I heard you got your truck stuck.
I did. I am on rut repair Friday morning.
Okay. All right.
Do we have any numbers
Mr. Mayor?
from that?
Yes.
How many people attended?
Pardon?
Do we have any numbers from that for how many people attended?
We had a meeting yesterday where we did kind of a bit of an after action, and the numbers that we were hearing just initially were about 5,000 people. You heard as well?
It is,
So,
absolutely.
attended. And so I think that was a good showing for the first year that they were able to do that.
So I think they're expecting 4,000 or anticipating 4,000, so it's good that.
We had capped it at 10,000, asked them to cap it at that number, and they did. And so, but yeah, so the number that they got, like I said, 5,000 for a warm day to be able to come out and for the families to come out and enjoy. I think that turned out well.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to add something about that particular event. You know, it was truly all hands on deck, but it was the can-do culture that we have at the city and all of the city employees and key leaders that put forth that effort that really and truly pulled that event off. There were a lot of things that were done at the last minute, and had it not been for the efforts of city staff and employees, we might not have had an air show, but I just have to commend staff and employees also for the excellent job that they did in making that event happen.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Mr. Mayor, I want to say thank you as well, simply because that was a fundraiser for veterans. So thank you so much for everybody that participated in that. I enjoyed myself.
All right. You ready to go into executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The City Council may go into executive session regarding any item posted on the agenda as authorized by Title V, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Notice is hereby given that the City Council may go into executive session in accordance with the following provision of the Government Code. Under Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, litigation deliberation regarding the following: pending or contemplated litigation involving East Texas Municipal Utility District of Smith County, the City of Tyler, the University of Texas Health Science Center at Tyler, and pending or contemplated litigation involving Liberty Utilities Corporation versus the City of Tyler. Not sure how long we'll be back there, but I don't expect any action. So we're going to go to an executive session. Thank y'all for coming. All right, the white light's on. Wait on Deborah. All right, we are back from executive session, and we do not have any action, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
We're adjourned.